Hello and welcome to this Affinity Photo iPad version tutorial. We'll be looking at 4 ways to edit an image using just levels. Now this tutorial is an adaptation of a Photoshop tutorial I got from Digital Camera magazine, and although it was a Photoshop tutorial, it, much like many Photoshop tutorials, translates well over to Affinity Photo. So the tutorial looks at 4 ways to subtly edit a photo's colours and or the contrast using just the levels adjustment. This version of the tutorial is for the iPad, but I have also made a PC version which will also be available from YouTube. So first we need an image to work on. Now in the magazine they supplied an image of some escalators, so I've found a very similar looking image on Pixabay.com via the stock studio, but these 4 edits should work well on other types of images as well. I've added a link to where the image can be found on Pixabay in the video's description on YouTube. So once you have an image open, if you tap on the adjustment studio, which is on the right of the screen, and then you select levels from the list, and then what I will do is I will go back to the layers studio just to make the screen a bit less cluttered, but you will have along the bottom the context menu for levels visible, and unlike the PC version of Affinity Photo, you do not get a histogram that shows you the distribution of the pixels within the image, nor do you get sliders to make adjustments. You have to work with these round circles with numbers in them to find the adjustments that you want, which I personally find impossible to master by just tapping in the circle and turning round. I have to sort of tap in the circle to get the number box to come up so I can enter numbers manually, which is not a sort of a perfect way of doing this. So in the context menu at the bottom you have the various options, the first being color space, which is set to RGB, and then channels, which is set to master, black is set to 0%, white set to 100%, gamma set to 1, output black set to 0%, and output white set to 100%. To the right of that there is a little white arrow, and if you tap on that you get some more options, and there's opacity set at 100%, and then you have merge, reset, delete, and add presets. I'll just come back to the main set of adjustments. If you alter the black or white options, these will either make the pixel range start at whatever point you set it at will be either pure black or the pure white pixels within the image. Now that is a bit easier to explain if I had a histogram to work with, but that's just the best way I can explain that. And then the gamma option will lighten or darken the midtones. The output black and or white options will either lighten the darker tones or darken the lighter tones within that image. So getting on with the first edit, what I will do is I will click within the black options, and I'm going to alter from 0 to 10, and then I'm going to alter the white by 10 as well, but sort of going in the opposite direction, so lowering 100% down to 90. So I'll make that 90. Okay, and then I'm going to alter the gamma. Now, like I said before, you can alter the gamma if you go below 1, so it will be like 0 point something or other, it will lighten the image, and if you go above 1 to say 2 or 2.5, it will darken the image. So I personally am going to go 0.76, and that will lighten the midtones, and that is sort of our basic start position. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to name this layer. So while I'm on the layers menu, I'm going to click on the first icon at the top, which is the more menu. It's a circle with 3 dots in it, and I'm going to change the layer's name by double tapping the where it's got levels adjustment, and then I can change its name, and I'm going to change it to basic. Come back to the normal image of the layers panel, and as you can see the name is changed to basic. And if I just click on this tick, we can turn that on and off, so you can see what effect this has had to the contrast and colours of that image. So I'm going to leave that turned off. You could, if you want, just delete this if you're just doing this for practice and fun, or you could even make a preset of it. But I'm going to make a template of this later on, so I'm going to leave mine available, but I will highlight the background layer and come back to the adjustments and add another levels adjustment, come back to the layers panel, and as you can see we now got 2 level adjustments. So on this next edit we're going to go for a split tone effect. Now in the last basic version I just altered the master channel, but to the left and right of the where it's got the word master there's a little white arrow, and clicking on these will change the master to one of the color channels. Now I'm going to select the red channel, and then I'm going to select black options, and then I'm going to again increase this by 10%. Click OK, and altering when this is on the red channel, if you alter the black sort of above 0, this will start to turn the darker pixels into a more cyan range, because if I had moved this up to 20 or 30 it would be a very much more cyan looking image. And on the other side, if you alter the white, it will start to become more orangey red. So Now I've moved the black, I'm going to alter the white. This time I'm going to go to 80%, just so we've got a bit of cyan in the darker areas and a bit orangey in the lighter areas. And then I'm going to alter to the blue channel, but this time I'm going to use the output options, and I'm going to be moving the white output, or output white I should say, and I'm going to change this to 90, and this will add a bit more yellow into the lighter pixels, so we now have a sort of even more yellowy orange in the lighter range. And then I'm going to rename this layer also, and I'm going to call this split tone. Come back to the normal layers menu, and I'll just turn this on and off so you can see the differences that is having. So I'll then turn that off, and I'll come to the adjustments, then add the layers adjustment. So that context menu has come back, but it has come back still sort of remembering the channel that we started on. So I'm going to just put this back on master, then come back to the layers panel. Now in this third edit, we're going to be just altering the blend mode of the levels adjustment. So I'm not going to make any adjustments other than making sure that that is back on master. I'm just going to change the blend mode. So to change the blend mode of a layer, you just again use that more options within the layers panel, and while I'm here I will rename this, and I'm going to call this blend mode. And so we're going to be changing the blend mode, and at the moment it is set on normal. And you could use the arrows either side of the word normal, or just tap and hold the word normal and slide to the left, and it will open the list of different blend modes. Now you can use whichever blend mode you want, but the easiest three to remember, or four I should say, is multiply will make the overall image darker, and then screen will make it lighter. But if you want a sort of a more balanced contrasty image, you can use overlay or the more subtler soft light. So I'm going to leave this on soft light, and then come back to the sort of main layers panel, and I will then turn that on and off. And you could also alter the opacity to sort of tone down that effect, but I will leave that as it is, and then highlight the bottom layer again. In fact, I will turn that effect off. Highlighting the bottom layer, I will then add another levels adjustment, and this is the last of the four, and this is going for a retro cross processing type of image. So the first thing I want to do is we're going to edit the red channel first, and much like before, I'm going to make black 10. I'm going to make white 90. And then we're going to change the green channel, and like before, I'm going to make the black 10, the white 90, and then we're going to move to the blue channel, and this time we're going to be working on the output options, and we're going to alter these the same way as we did the blue and red channels, but using the output. So output black, it will be 10, and output white will be 90. And if I just turn that on and off, you can see what effect that option is having. And then, like before, I'm just going to rename this, and this will be cross process. So there we have the 4 different ways to edit using just a levels adjustment. I will turn that layer off and then highlight the bottom layer. Now, like I said previously, you could have just deleted these rather than sort of have all 4 of them, or you could have made a preset, but I'm going to make a template out of this, because if you're sort of like me and you sort of watch a video online and you think, oh, I want to try that out, but you know, a couple of months down the line you think, oh, I want to try that effect, you forget how it was done, and you have to sort of find that video again and re-watch the tutorial. So I thought, why not make a template of this that has all 4 of these options, and they're sort of always ready to use. So what I did was I sort of highlight the bottom layer, and then using the last option on the left, coming down the left, which is the text option, I'm going to select Art Text, and then I'm going to draw out what I consider to be a decent size of font. That will do there. And as you can see, it has already added a new layer for the art text above that background layer. So what I'm going to type in is, doesn't really matter what you type as such, but I'm going to put in paste new image above this layer, and then I'll come to the move tool and I'll just sort of roughly center this. That will do. And then I will again highlight that bottom layer, and then I'm going to click on the dustbin icon to delete it. So we're just left with my text layer at the bottom, and then the 4 turned off levels adjustments above it. So if I come to the I forget what this is called. Let me press the question mark. It is the documents menu at the top. One of the options down here is export as template, and then I just need to give this a name. So let me come here and get rid of all that, and then I'll name this levels for ways. And then at the bottom we have the save button, so I'll click on save, and it will top this. It goes to your iCloud account, and I'm guessing it can use other cloud-based services that you may have set up, but you can also click on the bottom where it's got on my iPad. But I'm going to save this to my iCloud, and then once you've selected where you want to save this, at the top right there is the save button. So if you tap on that, that will then be saved into wherever it is you want to store this. So I'm going to come back to the home page, and I'm going to get rid of that that's this escalator image, but just clicking on the hamburger menu and closing that down. And it says, do you want to close this down? So I say yes. So now I'm going to click on the plus sign. So this is like assuming this is months down the line, you want to start a new image using those options. So I'm going to, because mine is saved in the cloud, I'm going to click on, well, I think it's either open from the cloud or new from template. I'll try new from template first of all, and yes, there it is there, levels 4 ways template. So I'll click on that. So this will open up the image. If I look at the layers, we've got those 4 options there. So all we need now is a layer, an image I should say. So let's look for let me just get rid of that. Well, let's go for house. I don't know, just try something randomly. House search. So let's try this house here. And then we come back to the layers menu. Now obviously this image is now much larger than the document size, so all I need to do is use the document menu, and then where it says canvas, clip to canvas, this will now make the canvas size the size that the image was, and then I can just turn on one of these adjustments and see which one works well with the particular image, because different ones will work better or worse depending on the image. But also, because these are adjustments, you could just open up that sort of layer, be it the adjustments at the bottom, or in this case, because this is the blend mode one, I could select a different blend mode. Let's try the multiply one, which will make it darker. And so by just changing the blend mode from soft light, from where it was set, to multiply in this case, this has made that much effect on this particular image. So basically that is it as far as the editing an image using levels in 4 different ways, and how to make and use a template. So thank you for watching, and goodbye.